if your interest is 9, how can your taxes go up 12?
So that expense category that goes up $12,000 includes, accounting expenses, which is the $9,000 for the tax increase. It also includes committee expenses, office expenses, and several other miscellaneous categories that have also gone up. So it's all of those categories that have gone up. The majority of that increase is because of the tax increase.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike. I don't think is the mic on?
Hello?
Okay.
I just need to lean forward. On that question of interest, one thing that's been overlooked is there was significant interest forecast for 2024 in the reserve study. So there's 23, I think it was 23,000. So there's part of the reason why the need to have more money in the budget for interest payments is there.
Mr. Manning.
Ron Manning, Abigail Adams. 23,497. That's quite a bit of interest. One, I'd like to know where we have our investments. I'd like to get in some of that.
I'm going to turn you over to, where is Walter? Walter Smith. No, if you have a question specifically, we can ask.
I do.
Okay,
Simple question. That's a lot of interest to get. What's the total amount of money we have in the reserve fund right
now? 200, Mike, 200 and...
I mean, the numbers on here just represent the income that's going to come in through the quarterly.
I don't have the exact numbers. I'll give you rough numbers, right? So the interest comes from both the operating account savings and reserve savings, right? Two separate accounts. I mean, Walt has all the details on the CDs that all of those are invested in. But, we're getting interest in both of those categories. The operating savings is in the $200-something thousand range, and the reserve is in the $400-something thousand range. So we're getting interest from all of those savings accounts, the majority of it being in reserve savings.
All right, thank you.
And if you've been attending the monthly or the bi-monthly board meetings, well, on a monthly basis, a treasurer's report is presented, and Walt puts together an extremely detailed couple of charts that shows, Walt, what is there, how many CDs? We have 6, 7? This is Walt Smith. Walt is on the Finance Committee, and he is helping to manage our investments.
Thank you. Good morning, neighbors. Walter Smith, Benjamin Harrison Circle. Our overall assets under management by Merrill Lynch, which is a brand new relationship that the Indy HOA created in early to mid 2023. As of today, we have about $700,000 in assets under management. We have 6 primary CDs, half invested in operating, the other half in reserves. They are all earning over 5%. Some 5.2, some 5.3. Great time to get in it, as you mentioned a little earlier. The other good news is that for the 2 accounts that are not in CDs, they're in Bank of America preferred deposit accounts that are both also earning in excess of 5%. So we're actually doing extremely well. The market has been favorable. Tom referenced it being fairly steady on the rates. We expect that to continue at least into early 2024. And we meet monthly with our advisor at Merrill Lynch. We have a meeting next Monday, in fact, to talk about the 4 CDs that are coming due at different periods this November. So I think it's been a great year-over-year performance. Some of what you're seeing in terms of 2023, our accounts were being held at 3 local area banks right here in Sussex County. They were earning de minimis to nothing. So now we have our assets heavily invested due to the construct and strategy that we put together in the Finance Committee with the help and support of the board and our past treasurer and current acting treasurer.
Thank you, Walt. Yeah, like I said, like Walt said, we meet monthly with, as a matter of fact, it's Maureen's husband, Don Stiegel, who happens to be the spouse of our new clubhouse manager. We meet with him monthly, and like as Walt said, we have another meeting with him scheduled because we have 2 or 3 coming up. Walt and I have chatted, when we chatted last month, about the upcoming CDs being renewed, where we continue to use banks that are only onshore, no offshore investments, and investments that cannot be called at any time. So, this is very surprising because we've never seen any kind of interest before recognized in any of our investments. And to have over $700,000 now invested in high-yield CDs is astonishing. Any other questions on the budget?
Just a question about the assessments that you list up there. Are the assessments, is that at 100% assessments? Or is there a certain portion that are in arrears on the assessments? Is everything current in that arena?
We do, we are 100%. Let me answer. Are you asking, do we have any homeowners in arrears? Yes. Yes, unfortunately, we do have owners, a handful that are on arrears. I've made this mention at a board meeting. The association has followed the appropriate steps. We have placed a lien on one homeowner. We make an attempt every month to collect the money. Thank God, this is why we have a contingency. So if we do find ourselves shortfall, we have that contingency to fall on, but we have not had to.
So you haven't had to compensate on the quarterly estimates you've been using for our budget?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
So on the quarterly assessments, which leads to what you have to adjust our fees for our quarterly assessments, how much is that being impacted by arrears?
That quarterly increase has nothing to do with any accounts in arrears.
I guess I understand that's where our income comes from primarily.
Well, our primary income comes from assessments, but also we have income from resales, we have income from PORS rebate, and we also have income from our investments. We also have a surplus fund of cash. If we need to draw on it, it's there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Dan Waldinger, Patrick Henry. Just a quick question. On the interest income, you mentioned that you're meeting with other HOAs. Sounds like a best practice to me. So is this something that you're discussing with other HOAs, and are we learning from their experience as well? So it sounds like we're really moving in a great direction. So more of an open-ended question.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, the consortium was started 2022, Donna? Yeah. In fact, Donna Dolce was one of the instrumental people and when she was the president of the board. There is a regional what we call a regional consortium of 14 HOAs. We call ourselves SHARP, Harry.
Sussex Homeowners Association.
Responsible. Yeah, well, anyway, we do meet quarterly. We meet quarterly, and believe it or not, A lot of the HOAs look to independence for best practices. We, and I'm not just touting our own horn, but as Harvey has attended those meetings and Harry and Donna in the past, Indy is light years ahead of some of these other HOAs in putting practices in place. In fact, we just got great accolades. One of the other HOAs was looking for information on a similar type of tribute program. We were able to provide them with the tribute program that the Common Area Committee and Harvey put together. We've discussed even down to what vendors are we using and how to leverage those vendors from a community-wide, from a regional perspective, our vendors. We were also very fortunate just last month, I believe, October, where all 14 HOAs had the opportunity to have a face-to-face meeting with Jamie Whitehouse of Planning and Zoning, Hans Metzlar of Sussex County Engineering, as well as Jessica Watson from Sussex Conservation District. And just the exchange of information and the collaborativeness, they even pointed out, Hans Metzlar even commended us, wanted to know where Harvey was, why was he missing from the meeting, because Independence has been very, very proactive in this HOA consortium and in working with the local agencies in trying to keep up with the changing times.
Fantastic, fantastic, thank you.
Any other questions on the budget? Okay, so this is the part that I always cringe at. Does anybody from the floor wish to make a motion to reject the budget? If you wish to reject the budget, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address. I'll give you a minute, half a minute. Don't, as my mother said, don't make me count to 3. Okay. All right, Anita, please make note that no motion came forward to reject the budget, and let it be known that the proposed 2024 budget has been ratified as presented. And seriously, just to, like I said, that budget cycle started in July. And if it was not for the Budget Committee and the Finance Committee and all of the committees in Common Area, trust me, Linda Cherney, we put her through the ringer sorry, Linda, but, to ensure that we had all of the needs identified and also something we had to look at too is how much of this burden can we pass on to the community? It was higher, and in the efforts of working with Common Area and also cutting out weeding in the single-family home contract, we were able to reduce some expenses and reduce that quarterly assessment increase to $688. It was as high as $720 at one point during the cycle. So just goes to show you how hard the committees work together to keep that at a cost that we feel is bearable by the community. Just before we move on, I just do want to go over the quorum. The total number of in-person voting members, and that's lots. We have 117 lots represented. We received 88 proxies. 3 were rejected, so the total number of proxies accepted were 85. So the total number of in-person voting members and proxies accepted was 202. That's 202 lot numbers, and we needed 114. So I thank you, everyone. Patty, if you could put up that, oh, great, thank you, Patty. All right, okay. You know, last year, after the annual meeting, the board put together a survey that went out to the community. We did get a fairly good response, and we asked the association members, what were some pros and cons and things that you would like to see different from the meeting in follow-on years? One of them, of course, was why do we have to go all the way to Epworth Church to have our meeting? But unfortunately, we don't have the technology at the clubhouse and to be able to do a remote meeting, as well as we don't have the space from a fire marshal perspective should 300 homeowners show up in the clubhouse. So that is why we have, for the second year now, come to Epworth. So that was one of the items that we looked to that was a criticism. The other item that took a big hit was the reading of all of the individual committee reports. That took considerable time, where each committee, we have 8 or 9 committees, came up and presented their slides. Then there was question and answers opened. Instead, this year, Donna Dolce with the Communications Committee sent each of the committees a template to complete. And as a result of that template, there is on the website a booklet that is called the Independence HOA 2023 Annual Report. We did not, in the interest of saving money, we did not print out copies and leave them at the clubhouse or distribute them. That is on the website, but there is a synopsis of every one of the committees, as well as an organization chart, the proposed budget, our surplus and reserves. So if you haven't had a chance to look at this, I asked, a lot of work went into it from all of the committees and the Communications Committee and specifically, and I ask you to just take some time. But I would like to ask if anybody has any questions on any of the material, if you'd like to raise a question on the committee reports. Anita, if you would just make note that there were no questions on the committee reports. Okay, the reason why we're all here, I think most of all. Patty, if you could put up the ballot. So we are now going to move on to the election of our Board of Directors portion of our agenda. The board did receive 5 nominations by the specified deadline of September 29th. They were Carl Cherney, Harvey Johnson, Jim Mook, Tom Novak, and James Ragucci. Those are the 5 names that you will see on the ballot. I would now like to open the floor for any nominations from the floor. If there was anyone in the audience that would like to self-nominate themselves to be on the Board of Directors and to be voted for, I ask that you please come forward, state your name and address. Walter? Oh. I did try to recruit Walter, trust me. Walter is a very valuable asset, and if I could just get him to stay in Delaware a little longer, but he's a baby whisperer, so. Okay, so again, are there any nominations from the floor? Okay. Since there are no nominations from the floor, I would like to ask someone from the audience to make a motion to close the nominations. James Bagnell, Rich Bagnell, and Claudia Creenan, second. Okay. I will now like to ask each of the candidates to please come on stage and just speak a little bit. I'm sorry? Oh, okay. See, this is why I have my board. Okay. All in favor of closing the nominations? Any nays? Okay. Thank you, Harry. This is why it takes 5 of us to get this done. All right. So I'd like now, if we could start with Carl Cherney. Carl, I'll remind you that, Carl and each of the speakers, that you have up to 4 minutes, and Sue O'Hara will give you the appropriate warning.
How's everybody doing? I want to say that, just to start off, Carl Cherney, 29654 Patrick Henry Circle. Don't know if that's necessary, but doesn't hurt. I want to begin my comments with saying I'm concerned about our community. In a good way. I'm concerned about the enhancements to our quality of life, our community living. I'm concerned about conveyance in general. I'm concerned about Phase 13, which, thank you, Tom, who's already gone. I thought that was a good presentation. And I'm concerned about the impact of all the other communities that we see developing around our community. But having said I'm concerned, I'm also certified to assist the board with my 40 years of construction experience. I do understand how to talk with owners, with developers, with general contractors, with architects, structural engineers, and over in the recent past, I've got my Delaware Blue Card, which allows me to go on construction sites if requested. I'm concerned about drainage. Can we all say we're concerned about drainage? Yeah. Not just in our community, not just the driveway pipes, not just the concrete swales, not the final paving, but all the future needs of drainage. In fact, all of Sussex County has a drainage problem. We're very low. There's a lot of water that comes here, and as such, there's a real need for proper drainage. Well, I'm certified. I have my CCR, which is Certified Construction Reviewer in Stormwater Management. I can assist in looking at things in our community from a very technical point of view for stormwater management. That's halfway, isn't it? I'm almost done. I think I'll be able to assist in watching very closely Phase 13 and assessing what's going on. I'm also concerned about our HOA, the operations costs, and the involvement of people. I think the HOA is doing a fantastic job managing our finances. Well done, everyone. Well done to those who are not wanting to be part of the board right now. But in that, we have a lot of contracts that are due. I've had a lot of experience in contracts, reviewing, amending, executing. We need to have vigilant oversight for our budgeting. I think that's crucial for conveyance, for programs, and enhancements. But more than that, I think there's a need for homeowner involvement. Input is one of the pillars of success. Without input, you really are working in a vacuum. I thank goodness that we had that questionnaire that went out to the community and everybody got a chance to speak to issues and voice their opinions. I think that's good. Education is another pillar of success. We need more things like Teddy Talks. Having said that, I'm qualified to work on the board. I've been a volunteer on the CAC. I've been on the CAC as the CACR. I've handled all your problems if you're in the 400 section, lot 400 and up. I've been a volunteer in my local church. I've been a volunteer in Scouts. Slow, stop. And I look forward to working in a collegial and transparent structure for the future. I humbly ask for your vote today, and that way we can continue the excellent work that the HOA has been doing and able to accomplish in the past. And I look forward to an active and engaged community going into the future. I thank you for your time and your attention.
Harvey Johnson. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you to Carl and to all the others. We went for a while not quite sure how many people would raise their hand to indicate interest in joining the board. So it's great that we have 5 who are willing to join the board. It's also great that even with 117 in attendance today, we would have met quorum even without the proxies. That's phenomenal as well. And so it's great to see you, many of you my neighbors. Janet and I moved to Indy in September of 2020, so we're just past our 3-year mark. We moved from Virginia. I was still working, and as soon as I retired, December 2021, I got involved with Dick Plimbeck and the Common Area Committee, and then with Lynn Cherney, then had an opportunity to join the board. So I've been involved in the HOA most of my 3-year period here. But we enjoyed Indy. We got here about the same time as COVID, though we didn't bring it with us. But like many of you, we moved here based on all that we expected this life as it should be, and it came to a grinding halt. But over the months, as we've come out of COVID, we've gotten involved. I know many of you from pickleball or bocce ball. Janet and I are an extra pair of hands at activity events. We met you there. Janet's involved with a walking class, joined our neighbor Karen with the cat calendar, which will be distributed soon. They need more cats next year. So if you have a cat, make sure that you get a hold of them and indicate you'll put your cat in the calendar. But we moved here from Virginia, where we had lived for a while after moving 19 times in my Coast Guard career. So I joined the Coast Guard right out of high school, 36 years later. I was a helicopter pilot in my younger days and had a number of jobs in all these different parts of the country. So I bring that Coast Guard experience with me. When I left the Coast Guard, I went to FEMA, where I was a deputy administrator there, and I bring all that experience with me, which was a good combination as coasties in terms of humanitarian service for disasters and meeting people in need. Went off to be a Beltway bandit. It's a term of working inside the Beltway with a contractor that works back into the government. And I learned a lot about private sector, which I knew zero about until I went to work with a private sector company. And so it's just a different business environment. So I brought experience from that. And then I went to the Red Cross, which was just a great culmination of my professional career, again, working with people in needs and organizations and thousands of volunteers. And working with people that a third would agree and a third would disagree, and you aim at the third in the middle. It's somewhat like an HOA. And so I bring all that experience with me, and then over the last year or so to be involved with the board, and again, hats off to Harry and Jerry, their last board meeting, who were just great companions on the board, very knowledgeable, all focused on helping the community. We all see great challenges ahead, whether it's the budget as we grow in owning resources and now maintaining them. It's getting through the rest of conveyance, and we've done, I think, an excellent job of elevating issues, building relationships that have helped us to have the developer, Tom, you're not here, but take on roles and fix things before it becomes our bill to fix. I think we've done a good job of getting those relationships going. And as busy as we are every day with today's issues, the board's looking ahead. And if you don't know where you're going, any road gets you there. And so we need to plan strategically as well as handle all the business that we have that goes with an HOA. And so there are a lot of challenges ahead. And I really look forward to remaining on the board. I ask for your vote to join with Jean, with Mike Wolk, who continue, and then 3 of us who will be elected today. We really enjoy Indy, and it is unique, I think, with all of the interest, with the experience, 55 and over, playing pickleball the way you play it when you're 70, not 30. All these things, I think, just bring so much enjoyment. Our neighbors, which we've never had neighbors like we have here in Indy, and so it's a chance to feed back and to help build the community for all of us as we continue here and those who join us in the future. So again, thank you for attending, and I just appreciate the opportunity to serve and would like to continue to do that.
Thank you, Harvey. Jim Mook?
Good morning. How's everybody today? Good. I'm glad to hear it. I'll let you know when I'm done with this speech. Anyway, my name is Jim Mook. I live at 23727 Samuel Adams Circle. You got that? Okay. With my wife, Chris, and my golden retriever, Kelly, who happens to think everybody's her best friend. So I'm here today to ask for your vote. I have been involved in the common area. Actually, I was in it several years ago when we first got it really started. Back in it again with Linda and the group, which I think is terrific. I've been on the advisory board, worked with Tom quite often on that, met up with him, and over the years have really dealt a lot with our developer and contractor. I won't mention names, but we'll get into that more. I think I'm here today just to say I do bring a lot of experience to the, I guess I'll say, to the HOA, and I want to thank Harry and Jerry for the years they've been here. I think you guys have done a great job, and thank you. Nobody's put up a sign yet. I'm amazed. So anyway, as I said, I think what I bring a little unique to this is that I have had experience. I lived here since 2017. Actually lived in Delaware since the 1990s, so I understand the area, a lot of what goes on with the contractors here who never show up. I know none of you have ever had that experience. And I think in the time that I've spent at Indy, I've done a lot with contracts and negotiating and really just trying to help the community. I do like Indy. We looked at a lot of other places, made a decision since we were already here to just stay in Delaware. And I ask, again, just to ask for your vote, and I look forward to it. I thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Tom Novak? I've been looking for you all morning, Tom. Just didn't see you.
Tom Novak, 29698, Patrick Henry. Good morning, Indy neighbors. I'm Tom Novak. You may not know me, and in point of fact, you may not know some of the people sitting down next to you. But we all have a couple of things in common. We are all members of the Independence community, and I want to thank you and any residents that you are being the proxy for volunteering. By being here, you are volunteering to be an active part of the community, concerned with the sustainability of the Independence way of life, right now and into the future. It is a commitment and a responsibility. And it is a commitment and a responsibility that I share with you, and that is why I'm here speaking to you, and why I request your support to become a member of the HOA Board of Directors. Working to defend and improve and taking responsibility for those actions, I understand from my active duty Air Force career. At Indy, I have assisted Joe Biondi with the Veterans Club and Barbara Capuano with Women on Their Own to bring the Delaware State Police to speak to the Independence community about security and cyber awareness. As an adjunct member of the Finance Committee, I assisted other members of the Finance Committee, Mike Volpe, Sherry Gadbois, Carol Vila, Dick Flambeck, Walter Smith, and Don Whiting, providing financial information to the former treasurer, Bob Petro, and the current acting treasurer, Jeannie Walsh, to financially defend and improve the Independence community. Because of their actions, we now have funds in interest-bearing accounts, which you've already heard about, helping keep our assessments lower and within the protected FDIC limits. The homeowner survey, which I helped with, provided framework to plan future Independence projects for convergence and enhancements, but that plan does not become a reality without work. For example, the pond behind our home isn't going to be fixed before the swales, the roads, and the landscaping are done. The Sussex County inspector I talked with mentioned talking with Harvey Johnson, who is currently on the board and one of the candidates here today, about 3 times a week concerning issues in progress. Several times, and yes, I am Renee's husband, Renee and I have seen Carl and Linda Cherney, Carl is another candidate, walking around the pond, taking photos, and talking with Sussex County inspectors as members of the Common Area Committee. Because of these folks working with Sussex County inspectors, our time in a construction zone is closer to ending. Not as fast as we would like, but it is happening. After my Air Force active duty career, I was hired as a trusted agent contractor by the Air Force to use my operational experience and my knowledge of requirements, acquisition, procurement, and sustainability to evaluate contractor proposals for equipment to fulfill Air Force needs. I had to evaluate if the Air Force was going to get bang for the buck. This past activity and the HOA Board of Directors position have the same attributes as the operations I was part of in my active duty career: purpose, simplicity, and speed. To make it happen successfully, though, it required work. Indy community, we are here because we have commitment and a responsibility to take care of our homes and our lives. It is a commitment and a responsibility I share with you, and I request your support to become a member of the HOA Board of Directors.
Thank you, Tom. And our last candidate is James Ragucci.
Hello, my name is James Ragucci. I moved to Independence with my wife Adele on St. Patrick's Day in 2020. It was the week of the shutdown. I have over 50 years of experience negotiating, researching, and evaluating the purchasing of service, products, and equipment from domestic and international suppliers. I am also experienced in developing requests for quotes, including validating the project or service scope, cost, and budget, as well as monitoring supplier performance, resolving issues of concern of service, and fulfillment. The current board has done a spectacular job in managing the community. If I'm elected to the board, I hope to assist the board in the management of the community and taking the community to the next level. But I have one question for the residents of Independence. Are we getting what we're paying for? My understanding is that we pay Sullivan in excess of $750,000 a year. Also, the last contract, which had a sizable increase, was renewed without competitive bidding. As a community, are we happy with the service we are receiving? We have a defined contract for specific services. If Sullivan is not able to perform those services, do we get a credit or a rebate? Are they using the correct chemicals on our lawns? Based on the weeds in my lawn, they are not. Is it time to divide the landscaping services between East and West Indy? Are we paying for services and products we don't need in East Indy and not getting what we need in West Indy? These are some of the questions I think we need to put forward, not only of Sullivan, but of our other contractors also. The current contract for Sullivan runs to year-end 2025. Sullivan is the biggest dollar expenditure we have in our budget. My suggestion right now is to start putting together a request to quote, with the assistance of the board, the Single-Family Home Committee, the Common Area Committee, a landscaping expert, and hopefully with the mentoring of Harry Tower. Are we getting what we want from Seascape? We pay Seascape approximately $60,000 a year. They manage many communities, and are we getting what we are paying for? I keep asking that question because I don't think we are. They have standard processes which may not be the best fit for us. At times, things fall through the cracks, which cost us money and time. Perhaps we need to look at a different management firm or an accounting firm. I believe the current contract is automatically renews in 2024. We should take action to find out, are there better alternatives? With my background, I can bring structure and a professional approach to help independents get the best possible products and best possible services at a competitive price. I can assist in monitoring and management of contract deliverables to ensure we get what we are paying for. And finally, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the clubhouse. I know we don't own it. I know we don't have no direct control in it. But as a community, we each paid $5,000 to join the clubhouse. That's in excess of $2.2 million. We pay $1 million a year, and in return, we get a second-rate air conditioning system. They refuse to share information with us, and we get a wish list instead of a capital budget. Are there things we can do as a community to push the clubhouse to give us better service and to give us what we are paying for? With inflation, cost increases may be unavoidable, but let's make sure that we get what we're paying for. That's what I plan to do if you elect me to the board. Thank you.
Keep moving my box. Okay, so that closes the candidates' comments portion of the election process. As you can see from the ballot, and you do have the ballot in your hand, the ballot clearly states for you to vote for up to 3 people. I ask that you please use caution in completing the ballot. I would hate to throw any ballot or have to disqualify any ballot because someone didn't follow direction. Please check off no more than 3 boxes. If you check off 4, we have to throw the ballot away. You can vote for 1, perfectly acceptable. You can vote for 2, perfectly acceptable, and you can vote up to 3. So you can vote for 3 candidates. As there were no nominations from the floor, there really is no need to concern yourself with the Patty, can you raise that? As you can see, there is a section on the bottom if someone were to have nominated themselves from the floor, or if somebody in the audience wishes to nominate themselves without having recognized. But please, if you enter any information on the bottom portion of the ballot, then you can only make 2 selections on the top. Again, no more than 3 individuals should be identified. And really, this is really for our candidates. We've had 5 great qualified people come forward. I'd like to ensure that every ballot submitted is able to be counted and none of them get discounted. Does anybody have any questions about the ballot itself or how to vote? I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but do you have any questions on how to complete the ballot? Okay. If you made a mistake, I want you to see one of the tellers, and you will hand in that bad ballot, and you'll be given a new ballot. Good question. Joni? No, the ballots are completely anonymous. That is why there's no name or a lot number indicated, and that's why we don't hand the ballots out beforehand, so we don't stuff the ballot box. So, Joni, you don't need that blue card anymore. So please take a few minutes to complete your ballot. The tellers will collect the ballots. Anita, they're going to collect the ballots from the middle? Okay. So as you complete could the ballot counters, not the ballot counters, our volunteers, please come forward. If you'd like to fold your ballot in half, feel so inclined to do so. And I have a few ballots to fill out myself.
What street does James Ragucci live on?
All right, if everybody could please take their seats. I'd like to continue on with the meeting while the ballots are being counted. So while the ballots are being counted, I would just like to fulfill our third legal obligation of the state statute by just giving a very brief state of the association. Today's meeting brings the end of the fourth year of Indy's full resident board of directors. In November 2019, I was elected to serve on the board along with Roy Chiavacci, who has since left the community, Donna Dolce, Jerry Holtz, and Harry Towner. Donna served on the board until this time last year when she stepped down to do some long-awaited travel. Jerry and Harry have served 2 full-year terms. What I have learned from these 2 gentlemen has been invaluable. They have shared with me their wisdom, knowledge, and guidance. While we may not have always agreed on everything, such as acorns and squirrels, we learned how to put these differences aside and continue to work as a team and in the best interest of the association. I'd like to take a minute and ask you to join me in thanking Jerry and Harry for the time they have volunteered to serve as board members, and to their families as well for the sacrifices they have made to help make a difference in our community. I would be remiss if I did not also recognize the time and talents that Harvey Johnson has brought to the board and to the community. Harvey was appointed to the board in June 2022, and his leadership skills have been invaluable. He has made tremendous strides in establishing contacts with various county agencies, identifying and highlighting issues along with the Common Area Committee with our stormwater management system and the state of our roads. I'm very pleased that Harvey submitted his name as a candidate to run for another term on the board. Our most recent director is Mike Woke. Mike was appointed to the board in July. Mike has brought with him ideas on project definition, change management, and organization that we have started to implement and will continue to integrate into the overall governance of the board and our committees. Mike, I look forward to working with you in my final year on the board, but can we just dial it down a notch a little bit on the documents that you're creating? No, but all kidding aside, Mike, Mike has some great ideas. We just need to find the time to finalize them, implement them, and make them operational, and then see how well they're doing. But Mike does have some great things as well that he's brought to the board already. And I would be extremely remiss if I did not mention our board secretary, Anita Volpe, who has spent many, many hours documenting our meetings, reminding us of due dates, and just keeping the board overall in line with getting things accomplished and getting them done timely. So Anita, thank you very much. I'd just like now to highlight some of the board's accomplishments from this year. We implemented the weekly chat to increase transparency. That was something that the board took a hit with in prior year, that there was not enough transparency. And I do hope that you subscribe to the association news channel for the website and look at the weekly chat. Some weeks there's not that much to talk about, but I try to include something. And if I do forget, I get a phone call from Carol Goulding Russell that says, "Where's your chat this week?" So thank you, Carol. We did reduce the number of executive sessions drastically. I went back and I checked. I think there might have been about 18 in 2022. And this year we only had to have 3 executive sessions, and 2 of those were to deal with some issues that were brought forward by a committee. So I think that also demonstrates increased transparency. We did conduct an annual survey that was put together and managed by our former board member, Bob Petro. I want to thank Bob for that. But Bob did put a lot of work into putting together an annual survey. And then we held 2 follow-on town hall informational meetings to share the results and action plans to fix issues identified. We very successfully passed and amended the restated bylaws of the HOA by, I believe it was like 94%, which was just phenomenal that we were able to get the bylaws passed, the restated bylaws. We put into use the investment policy by establishing a strategy with Merrill Lynch to invest our reserves and all of our operational monies into high-yield CDs. And as Walter Smith of the Finance Committee gave a little brief overview, our money is being well invested. And I ask that you please, come to the board meetings where the treasurer provides an update on the investments. We did execute a memorandum of understanding with Shell Brothers and Dennison earlier, just this past September, to accept the gifting of 185 trees that will be planted on the Turnberry Independence Buffer. I believe those trees get planted starting next week, Linda? Hopefully, weather dependent, hopefully. We developed and continue to have positive working relationships with various county and governing agencies. We had a tremendous successful outcome of our first ever HOA external audit of the 2022 year-end financial statements with only 1 deficiency noted. And that's just a kudo to the Finance Committee for that excellent piece of work. We passed 8 resolutions and revised several others to better reflect the needs of the community. One of the most key and most recent resolution was to establish the tribute program, which allows owners and others to donate money to purchase trees and other items to enhance our open spaces. These accomplishments are only possible with owners such as yourselves by volunteering in some form or another, even just coming out to support today's meeting. I applaud you and thank you for that. But this community would not run without its volunteers. So hopefully with the new board, we will continue to demonstrate successes of this community and with many more accomplishments in 2024 and going forward. With any accomplishment comes challenges, and we are already facing them. Our efforts to get the builder and developer to finish our roadways and stormwater ponds have been effective by establishing positive and ongoing relationships with the county and other agencies. Those agencies are supporting our efforts in getting the builder and developer to complete the required work prior to issuing permits for Phase 13. It's in the best interest of the overall community and all of our association members to maintain a positive relationship between the association and the developer. We don't own this land yet. It has yet to be conveyed. There's a lot we wish to do, all from applying for grants to making enhancements, and we need the developer's support to do some of these things. In closing, the board will continue to address all issues on behalf of all our members as we move forward in 2024. I would hope that I continue to see more people attend our board meetings. We've done a pretty good job of getting them down from 3 hours to 2 hours. I think the average is running now about 1 hour and 45 minutes by making some changes to the agenda. So I hope they are held via Zoom. Even if you put us on and then go have your coffee or whatever, you know, you can still listen while you're doing something else, so I ask. So with that, do I have to make a motion for you to accept my state of the association? No, Donna? No, okay, all right. Thank you. Next up is our volunteer recognition, and each year the board likes to identify, you know, 1 or 2 individuals that help out in the community, that just do some tremendous work as volunteers. And I truly feel very privileged to be able to stand up here for a 2nd year in a row to recognize a member of the Finance Committee. In November of 2019, one of my responsibilities as the first treasurer of the board was to form the Finance Committee. And when a call went out for candidates, the board received numerous names, bios, resumes, and that decision process was not an easy one, as there were some very highly qualified individuals that were looking to stay busy during their retirement years. When we looked at all of the submissions, you know, one thing foremost on my mind was there someone that had a CPA background, so we could really make sure we truly understood, you know, initially and going forward to make sure all of our balance sheet numbers equaled out and all that stuff. And doing that, I found a true hidden gem by the name of Sherry Gadbois. During the first year, the committee focused on getting a grasp as to what was required from an operational perspective in the form of processes and procedures. And then as 2020 came and went, Sherry told me she wanted to take a more in-depth look at the monthly bank statement reconciliations that were provided us to our management company. I figured, okay, they're doing the reconciliation. What more do I need to concern myself about? You know, I didn't question her, but I figured money in, money out, checks cleared, checks outstanding, you know. What else could be needed? But in doing so, Sherry identified several anomalies that just did not sit right with her. She told me she was going to take a deeper dive into the ocean of bank reconciliation to see what she could find. She developed this very comprehensive spreadsheet. I still don't know how much time she spends on it monthly, but I'm sure she's got it down to a science, where she incorporates the balance sheet as well as all of the activity from the bank statements, and then does a side-by-side analysis of every line item on those bank statements and balance sheets to make sure that they check out to the penny. I will never forget the day she told me, Jean, we still have 10 cents that I can't find. That's how detailed she got. So she, as I said, she discovered a myriad of issues that she personally, she didn't need to come to me, but she said, Jean, I'm going to Seascape. And I said, go ahead. I said, she personally brought the issues to Seascape's attention for resolution. And as she continues to find those anomalies, she brings them to their attention. It's gotten much, much better with Sherry keeping an eye at it. In addition to the bank reconciliation work effort, while she was doing some of that, she also identified how prorated assessments from resales were being recognized. Maybe there were times that, when you go to sell your house and somebody's already paid their dues for the quarter, now you have to prorate those dues back, and we have to recognize that appropriately. Well, not enough money was either going to the reserve or operational or vice versa. And Sherry identified that, came up with an analogy, and provided that to Seascape, which they continue to use today on how to recognize the prorated assessments from resales. Sherry's most recent major activity was being the main focal point to the accounting firm that we had hired to conduct the audit of our year-end 2022 financial statements. That work was a little delayed as a result of the CPA company. I think they started in August. They should have started in July. But that Sherry handled the entire scope of the audit pretty much on her own from start to finish. And recognizing when she needed to just verify an answer, she'd either go to a member of the finance committee or to myself and got the information back to the auditor in such quick turnaround time that they commended us several times throughout the audit how quickly we cooperated and got the information back to them in a timely fashion. And as I mentioned earlier, we only had one deficiency identified, and that really goes to show how well the Finance Committee keeps watch over all of our money. They really do, truly do an excellent job. Sherry juggled this audit and never skipped a beat with all the other assignments she had taken on as part of the Finance Committee, including the recording secretary of the Finance Committee. So she's juggling quite a few responsibilities. Sherry's also actively engaged with the Indies Warriors program and is also can be found in the kitchen every other or so Friday night helping out. So today, for Sherry's dedication to the overall community and the Finance Committee and her tireless hours, I'd just like to present Sherry with this small token of our appreciation. Okay, let's see. Donna, are we ready yet? Oh, okay. At this point, or up until yesterday, there was no new business brought forward by the board, but I would like to just ask my fellow board members if there's any new business that you feel that needs to be discussed. This is your last time, Jerry and Harry, and possibly Harvey.
The only thing I want to say is, we all would be remiss if we didn't thank you for this last year.
Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. Anita and I are the rose with the flower. What's the
rose between two thorns?
The rose between two thorns, or four thorns. Donna?
Yes, Don Dolce, 23851 Samuel Adams. So I'm going to assume this new business and public comment kind of fold in together. So I'd like to take an opportunity to add to the accolades for Harry and Jerry, having begun my board service with the two of them in 2019. And one could not mention, without speaking about both gentlemen, as certainly as providing a great deal of leadership to our community. And having served on several kinds of boards over my tenure, I admired both of their skill sets and what they brought in contribution to the HOA. Harry, certainly for his meticulous attention to detail and his encyclopedic knowledge of Decoya as well as the governing document. We constantly teased him and he buttoned his top button to make sure that every I was dotted and every T was crossed. And certainly every board, any committee, anything that has to do with HOA needs someone who will pay that much attention to detail to make sure everything is correct. Jerry was always the voice of reason. He was calm and he simplified complex issues and problems and made sure that we stayed on track and didn't deviate too far from what we were supposed to be talking about and what really needed to be done and what resolutions needed to be made. So I want to thank the two gentlemen because I also worked very closely with them on the bylaw revisions, which took an arduously long period of time to get accomplished, but nonetheless we did get them through, and I appreciate both of you. And if you're looking to find out how to spend your leisure, come talk to me. I will be able to tell you there's no such thing. You just change hats and keep on going, because I know and I hope that we aren't going to lose the talent and the knowledge that both of you bring to this community, and will continue to support it in some way. And if Harvey should not be one of the names mentioned, I want to thank him, who has not even filled a complete term. He came in the midstream. He certainly, by chance, he is always at every meeting. He has done an enormous amount of work. I know of no one on our board who probably has put in more hours walking the streets, looking at swales, measuring every inch of our property. He is thoroughly dedicated, and the other thing that's good about Harvey is he is also very articulate. He can put in a very simplified manner for everyone to understand some very complex issues. So I want to thank the opportunity that I've had to work with Harvey as well. And I do hope you continue on, because I think this community would benefit from that same kind of dedication. So, and to Jean, of course, even though you're not leaving, hopefully you've got one more year to go. I give you a lot of credit, and so keep at it. And I just want to thank this board. And I don't know, half the members of this community realize the amount of work that goes into being on that board. So thank you very much.
So while we're still waiting for the voting results, would anybody like to come up and ask a question or make a comment? Yes, Bob.
I'm Bob Petro, 29126 Abigail Adams. One thing that was said in today's meeting by one of the candidates, and he admitted to this and so will I, which has nothing to do with the HOA, is the clubhouse. The clubhouse, well, let me say it differently. Let me say it a little bit more hardline. We are not getting value for what we are paying to the clubhouse. We are also not getting adequate representation. Now, I know there's an advisory committee, but what I would suggest that the board consider is some sort of omnibus person on the HOA board that basically collates and works with the indie clubhouse firm, because $2,000 a year for dues for a clubhouse that by and large you don't use. There is no uplift program to the equipment, to the air conditioning, to the rugs, to the furniture, to the fixtures. There's got to be some deeper accountability as we all look to the HOA for accountability on the HOA's budget. The HOA's budget and the Finance Committee, they have a fine-tuned plan, and they do a phenomenal job. And while I'm complimenting committees, all of the committee members should be complimented equally. CAC, Single Family Home, ARC, phenomenal amount of people dedicating their time. But I would like to just leave with the thought that we do need representation a little bit more pointed than an advisory committee. Thank you.
Thank you. So you're not aware that I am that person that is the liaison to, I wear a lot of hats. I am the liaison to the advisory council and to the clubhouse management. I try to attend as many of those meetings as possible, and at the last, not this past meeting where we met Maureen Stiegel, the new clubhouse manager, but the one before, was an extremely vocal meeting. In fact, the attendance overflowed the conference room, so we had to meet in the ballroom. And Tom was there, Tom Tipton, as representing the owners of the clubhouse, took a lot of criticism and beating down for all of the issues and issues that you just mentioned, Bob, and others might have mentioned today with regard to the clubhouse. It is extremely unfortunate that we do not have insight or we don't have the right to see their budget. But as anyone can imagine, I don't know if it was James maybe that said, when you think about what each one of us is paying in times 455 homes, that's a hell of a lot of money. So it's a tremendous amount of money that we don't have insight to. We all knew that buying into the community, that it was a privately owned clubhouse. And all we can do is continue to ask the advisory council to continue focusing on getting the repairs that are needed and a reserve account if they don't have it, all of those things identified. I just want to caution also that the more you ask for, that's how much more the dues will go up for the clubhouse. That pickleball court cost $150,000. That equates to $339 per lot. If you think that they put that pickleball club in for nothing, with no cost that's going to be passed on to the community, because we will see it. We may see it over a period of time, but we will see it. So when more people need to come to the advisory council, I think I saw Ed Creeling here, or Jeff Johnson. I mean, you know, they're on the council. Very few people show up to these meetings every month. And it's you know, we need more people to come to the advisory council meetings, just like we need more people to come to the board meetings. I'm just astounded sometimes by, I know we're all very, very busy, but if I could just ask you all to just at least one person per homeowner, per lot, to subscribe to association news, to get the information that goes out weekly, that lead, you know, other bulletins that go out, because otherwise that's, you know, you don't get the right information. People start to spread rumors. So if one thing I could just ask to take away from this meeting today is to attend as many meetings as you can, both for the clubhouse and the board, and one person per household to subscribe to association news. That's what I ask. Donna, did you, 10 minutes? What am I going to do for 10 minutes? Jerry, would you like to come up? Yeah, I guess I just have to wait. Are there any other public comments at this point? Helen? Helen, you could entertain us. Helen, you could come and sing. and Pat Higginbotham could dance? Okay. Well, if you want to get up and stretch your legs, if you want to stay for the voting results, you know, we have to wait for them to be tallied and verified. They will be announced via association news as to who the new officers will be after we have our organization meeting. Hello? Okay. In no specific order, the candidates to receive the most votes, again, in no specific order, are Carl Cherney, Tom Novak, and Harvey Johnson. And then, of course, other candidates to receive votes, whether included on the ballot or write-in, were Jim Mook, James Rigucci, and Donna Dolce. So again, in no particular order, the new directors are Carl Cherney, Tom Novak, and Harvey Johnson. Thank you. Again, we don't share, who got what number of votes, but if anybody wants to know, they just need to make an appointment with Jennifer, and she'll be happy to show you the ballots. All right? With that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn today's meeting. Wendy, I have second? Carl. All right. Motion to adjourn the meeting has been accepted. Thanks, everybody. Drive safely. What? Oh, I have to vote? Oh, I have to vote to adjourn. Everybody in favor to adjourn? Hey, okay.